Well, welcome to Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen.
And I'm Algernon D'Ammassa.
Algernon, thanks for sitting in for Michael.
Oh, my pleasure. I love coming back and hearing that theme song. It sounds like you and I are in a cop show. It's great.
Cop show.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming up. Algernon lives in Deming, folks.
That's right.
You may recognize him from stage and screen.
I work in Las Cruces quite a bit. I teach at the university, and I work with the No Strings Theater Company here in Las Cruces.
Right, so and thanks for sitting in for the vacationing Michael Mandel.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Hi, Michael. I hope you're having a wonderful time.
See you on YouTube. Now, you and I are both involved in the arts.
Yes.
Primarily theatrical.
Yes.
Performing arts. How would you assess the state of the arts in New Mexico these days?
Lively, just underfunded, but that's always,
yes.
that's not news.
That's endemic to this country, really.
I mean, in terms of music, in terms of visual arts, in terms of theater and even film, and we'll be talking about the local film scene a little bit more in a minute, but there's a lot of activity going on and a lot of creativity. It's really exciting.
It is, and you mentioned funding, which nobody has enough of. When I was a college student in England, living in London, pre-Margaret Thatcher, the arts community was flourishing because they were very well funded by the government, and there were little arts collectives all over town where you could go see a play, you could see a movie, there were literary events going on. You could even have something to eat while you're there. It was quite a wonderful place for a guy like me, who was just trying to get himself involved in as much of the art scene as possible, right, while in England. We've never had that really in this country, unfortunately.
Not a lot of people know this, but during the Works Progress Administration that was created by President Franklin Roosevelt in response to the Great Depression and this crisis of capitalism in the 30s, among the jobs, the government initiated this program of direct employment because there was a demand problem, and so as an employer of last resort, the government was giving people jobs. And one sector where they did a lot of hiring were the arts.
Yes.
A lot of artists and a lot of teachers were employed, and partly this was economic stimulus, but it also partly represented this idea that the country thrives by having a lively and healthy arts sector. And
it does. And for instance, in London, there was culture everywhere. And when Margaret Thatcher came in and cut the funding to all the arts programs, it was like the culture went away. It was under this big thumb, and it just disappeared.
Well, and it becomes subject to the laws of the market and commerce and capitalism. And that.
Right, and many of the arts can't pay for themselves. There just isn't the demand to do that. Right. So a little subsidy here and there wouldn't hurt. I mean, if we can subsidize big agriculture and big oil and the NFL, then I would think we could subsidize the arts, because that's the learning process for kids coming through school, and as well as stimulating other projects. You do one project and it stimulates several more, I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing this show is constantly doing is talking about the arts and encouraging the arts. And some people are actually afraid of the arts, I find.
Well, sure.
They don't trust it, they're suspicious of it, they're scared of it because they don't understand it. And so part of my goal is to get people out to understand it more, so they can learn to enjoy it.
Well, also political power through the ages has always been a little bit suspicious of the arts, because the arts, one of the things that a strong, thriving arts culture does is it questions the structures and the paradigms that are in place. I mean, the Chinese emperor would send spies to puppet shows, and it's just because it's a very potent way to reach people.
Absolutely. In this country, we'd rather fund sporting high school sports than the high school arts. Well, high school sports can give you a job maybe for the next 10 years if you're lucky, very, very lucky. But you could get a job in the arts for the rest of your lifetime if you had the training. Now, part of the arts includes filmmaking.
That's right.
And we're also trying to attract films coming down here to the southern part of the state. They all tend to go up north to Albuquerque and Santa Fe area, where they have the encouragement, where they have the infrastructure in place, the backlots, the studio facilities. Here,
and local political support too.
Exactly. Now, we haven't had much local political support here from Las Cruces. They actually have been discouraging films from coming here, sadly.
What's that about?
Boy, I really don't understand it. I really do not. They talk out of one side of the mouth how they would love to have them, but they are really not encouraging them. Sadly, but true. Until maybe now. They're making noises where maybe they are actually now interested in starting to attract films here. The governor has approved $555,000 to construct a backlot facility west of Las Cruces, just west of the airport, where they're going. I guess it's going to be a Western set. I've worked on Western sets outside of Santa Fe, and they get used once or twice a year, and that's where all the films go.
It's out at Corralitos, right?
Here, yes.
Now, Corralitos is this is a mostly open land out in Doña Ana County. I filmed out there, and of course you can use it for westerns, but we have terrain here in southern New Mexico that could be it could be Afghanistan.
True. They filmed Indiana Jones out there, the opening scenes from that, which is supposed to be, I forget that movie, where that movie took place, I think in Germany.
In a few different places, but
yeah, it could be anywhere. They wouldn't have to build a Western set. It could be a 1930s Bonnie and Clyde type of thing. They could build a futuristic setting out there.
Sure.
And the way, according to John Hendry, who's the business agent for IATSE, which is the film union, what you do, you stack shipping containers 2 and 3 high, and you hang your sets off that. So you can put any set there. That would be just up to the production designer to come in and construct the sets any way they want, with the shipping containers,
Or you could have temporary. I mean, you could have structures like what they have on the Bonanza Creek Ranch in Santa Fe County, which are these. They're not really buildings, but there's the shell of a building, facades and things like that, so that you. And they actually do have They have actually built an entire western town on the property now, but there's also these, just these half buildings and things scattered throughout the property.
Well, I worked in a western town when I was doing Into the West, outside of Galisteo, New Mexico, where they have a western town constructed, and we actually shot inside one of the buildings there.
Cool.
And they even brought in train tracks so they could bring a train in. So anyway, I hope that works. Las Cruces Studios was like one of the first people trying to get a film studio off the ground here. It's the same people that run this TV studio, and they had plans for a soundstage, and they wanted to do it out west of Corralitos Road. The funding wasn't there, unfortunately, but you could go to LasCrucesStudios.com and look at the plans that are already there, that have been on that website for quite some time. And speaking of the Las Cruces Studios, coming up is the 5th anniversary of this channel.
Happy birthday!
That's right. This is the only commercial channel in Las Cruces.
Wow.
This is the only channel where you can come in and do a show. And right now they have an anniversary special here at Channel 98. It's a one-show special. If you want to do a show about anything, you can come in and sell your cars. You could come in and have a revival meeting. You could come in and do a talk show like we're doing. $39.95 for one show. It'll get repeated several times, and that's a heck of a deal. You save $60 off the normal price.
Huh? So
that's something that's available to Las Cruces.
So talk is cheap, and it's getting cheaper.
Absolutely. And LasCrucesChannel.com is the place to go, or LCC98.com. There's the special right there, 5-year anniversary. Until May 9th, do your own TV show. Now, we're talking a lot about arts. There's our massive studio.
Oh, look at that.
And come in here, find out what it's really like to do a TV show.
Where's that?
Oh, it's a control room.
Oh, that's a control room. Oh,
yeah.
I haven't been there.
And so, Las Cruces Channel, happy anniversary. Now, speaking of arts, the city is looking for artists who want to do an art application to a new bridge that's going to be installed on Interstate 25 over Missouri Avenue. And they're looking for proposals. Artists can make proposals, contact the city if you have an interest in that. Whether it's a mural, whether it's an applied sort of a motif, they're looking at anything. So artists, get a hold of the city to find out about that.
Do you know what the surface is going to be that they'll be working on? Is it just
probably like
blasted concrete? Is it adobe or fake?
I think it's like concrete. but you know, you could do a carving into it.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Right. You can
Like a
arrange
bas relief sort of a thing. Anything is possible, I guess.
That's wonderful. And having local art, again, this is just employing your local artists so that there's local ownership, and we all benefit because we have something to look at besides just a piece of concrete. We actually...
Right. And when there's art in place, it tends to discourage vandalism, graffiti and the like.
Unless you're Banksy, in which case sometimes it encourages it, but that's a whole other thing.
But yes,
Banksy, for anyone who doesn't know, Banksy is he's a world famous street artist, and his works are very distinctive, but he has haters, and they'll actually come and spray paint over his works. It's a very strange little war that goes on.
Well, that's what happens when you're doing public art the way he does. Mm-hmm. Kind of like when gangs cross out somebody else's gang signs on a wall.
Yeah, it's a little bit like marking territory in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what those gang signs are. Now, speaking of the arts, you're doing a play.
I am. I'm always doing a play.
You're doing a play now called An Iliad.
Yes, we're in El Paso this weekend. Actually, tonight, Saturday, is our closing performance in El Paso. This is a show we actually opened here in Las Cruces at the Black Box Theater last month, and it was a huge hit. And
huge hit. It's too bad you only ran the one weekend.
Unfortunately, that has something to do with the theater's own schedule, and also we're touring it, and Randy Granger and I together perform this original play that's based on Homer's Iliad, and he improvises musical accompaniment, and it's a very ancient kind of theater because it's one storyteller, that's me, and Randy accompanying on music.
Yes, and I really liked what he did. He's got so many unusual instruments that make this organic musical accompaniment to it that works, I think, extremely well.
He plays a variety of flutes. He plays a 3-string cigar box guitar. He plays
a variety of drums.
Yeah, the cajon, the hong, some very rare instruments, and he also plays on buckets and bottles full of water.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it works really well, and you do a wonderful job with it, by the way.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed the play very much, and I think everybody there did. And it's very well worth seeing. If you're going to be in the El Paso area, or you have friends in El Paso, recommend to them that they go see An Iliad. Where's it being performed?
It's at Glass Box. Glass Box is a venue in El Paso that has recently moved, so I'm going to give you the address. It's 2309 East Mills. It's between Palm and Poplar. There's a lot of information online. We have a Facebook page, so it's facebook.com/Algernon Iliad. And you can also call and get information about where it is, make reservations, and we'll give you directions and anything else you need to know. The number to call is 575-545-7613.
And you'll answer the phone and tell them what they need to know.
I'll answer the phone, or Randy will answer the phone, or voicemail, but we'll get back to you right away if you have to leave a voicemail.
That's great. Now, there's also another play in Las Cruces. Right now we only have the one in Las Cruces, and that's at the Black Box Theater.
Right.
The Women of Lockerbie.
Yes.
Based on a true story.
It is based on the event that happened getting to be a long time ago now, but this is the downing of Pan Am Flight 103, I think. It was a Pan-American flight, and it was brought down over Lockerbie, Scotland in a terrorist event. Yeah,
there was a bomb in the suitcase. It blew up. I think the terrorists were hoping it would blow up over the ocean, where it really wouldn't be found. But it wound up crashing on land in Scotland. And so all the belongings from the aircraft were collected by these people who tried to get them back to the original owners, or owners' families. It's clothing and wallets and personal items and so forth. And they were thwarted in doing so by the authorities. So it's an interesting show, and
by a woman playwright, which is also a notable thing. Women playwrights have a harder time getting their works produced, and the Black Box has done a very brave and very sensitive production of it, and this is the last weekend. So tonight and tomorrow afternoon are your last chances to see over at No Strings.
We need to take a break right now, and we will come back after these vital words.
Yes, please come back, please.
Welcome to Women of the Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. Treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane at 650-9721.
Hey, you, come here. Do you want to know the news? The Lost Cruises channel is now on 7 days a week, so keep it right here.
Celebrate, celebrate, Fiesta Motors.
Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there.
Celebrate, Fiesta Motors. Where buying a car is always a celebration.
And we're back. Mark Steffen along with Algernon D'Ammassa.
Hello.
Right here on Double Talk. Now, we've been talking about the arts, but we're going to kind of change gears here for a minute. Yeah, we talk about something that's been in the news now for the past 2 weeks, and that is the tragedy of the Malaysian Airlines flight that vanished off the face of the earth.
That's right. Very strange and unprecedented mystery, mainly because it's taken so long to even find the plane. It has not yet been found, and for a plane to go missing like that in this modern age is unusual.
Yes, and not an accident.
So here comes the theory. Mark has a theory.
Well, I think what the government has been doing so far in telling us that it must be down here in the southern part of the Indian Ocean off the coast of Australia, I think is misdirection. The old magician's trick of misdirection. Make us all look down here, where in reality, I just have this feeling it's in the complete opposite direction. It's on the ground. They know where it is.
You think it's in the Las Cruces film backlot, don't you? You think that that's being harbored
It
there?
landed at Las Cruces International Airport.
Oh my goodness.
No, actually, I think it's either in Iran or Pakistan, someplace, or in Africa, on the ground. Of course, the passengers are all dead. They killed them so they could take the plane, and they now have a plane that they can use like they did with the World Trade Center as a missile. And I think the CIA well knows where that plane is. They're distracting us with all this misdirection rigmarole while they're on the job of trying to find the plane where it is really located. So that's my theory.
What about aliens?
And some people think aliens just abducted the entire plane and its contents.
There was a joke online that a lot of people thought was actually for real. There was an article from the Daily Current, which is a humorous satire website, saying that there was an interview where Sarah Palin claimed that the plane just flew straight to heaven. And some people were sharing this on social media like it was a real story, but it's not. That's not.
Well, see, you would think she would say something that ridiculous. Now here's a map of the ocean, and down in the
Where's your hand?
down around
Where's
in there,
your hand? where
you see the cursor. That's
let me hold this map
that's
for you.
That's the area. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, there we
that's
go.
the general area where they think it is. Now, way over to this area over here is Africa, and it's over there someplace. I'm willing to bet. And it's quite possible halfway across are the Andaman Islands, right where it says Indian Ocean. That's further up. Actually, next to India, to the right of India. Yeah, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are over there. I've been there to Port Blair. They could have refueled there and then continued on. But I believe it's somewhere in Africa or the Middle East. On the ground, safe as can be.
And you think that this whole search in the Indian Ocean is just misdirection?
Yes.
It's awfully expensive.
I know. It's all subterfuge. But we're paying for part of that, and everybody else, all the other countries are paying with their share too. Whether they know about it or not, I don't know.
Is there a motive for covering it up?
Yes.
What's that?
They don't want the terrorists to know that we know yet until they find it and can do something about it. If it's in Iran, that means we've got to go in and invade Iran to get it or destroy it, which means they have to basically get the Israelis to do it. If it's on the ground, so it's probably in a hangar someplace, and it can't be seen from satellites. But imagine you're flying in that airline, and airline food is your final meal on this earth. That would be the real tragedy.
Well, I just hope that it is found. I hope your theory proves not to be true after all. I hope that the plane is found, because as long as these questions remain unanswered, it becomes folklore, and it will be. It hasn't been tied into the theories about Obama's birth yet, but I'm sure it will eventually.
It's only a matter of time.
These things just spread like fungus until, and even when they actually find data and actual factual evidence, even that doesn't really stop the stories from spreading. But for the families of the people on that plane, I hope that there's at least some closure coming soon.
Yes. Now, I mentioned airline food. Here in Las Cruces, you can get a meal almost as bad as that, but
that is a real segue, isn't it?
Thankfully, there aren't too many places in Las Cruces that serve food as bad as the airline. I tried to have lunch on Thursday at Miguel's restaurant, one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in town. And I must say, I had a bad experience. This is my first bad experience with that restaurant.
What happened?
I ordered one enchilada and one taco. Period. And people who came in, 2 tables who came in after me, got their food, and I still didn't get my food. And I sat there for 20 minutes and still didn't get served. The owner and boss was not there, and so if he's not there, folks, avoid Miguel's. He wasn't there, so I finally had to say, my lunch hour is up. I need my money back, and I went down to Roberto's and got lunch that was not nearly as good. Miguel's has a salsa bar, which I love. If you go to Roberto's, they give you one little cup of salsa, which really isn't enough. So, and the food isn't as good there, frankly.
Have you tried this new Vietnamese place?
Yes, I have.
That's right near Miguel's, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And how was that?
Pho
How did you find that? Yeah. Okay. And how did you find that?
I liked it. I've been to both Vietnamese places. I'm afraid they're not going to be here much longer because, number one, they don't advertise. And number two, they have competition from not only the other Vietnamese restaurant, but all the Chinese restaurants in town. So I wish them well, and I hope they take steps to improve their customer base, because I drive by there and I see 3 cars in the parking lot.
Oh, no.
And they can't survive like that.
It is extremely difficult to keep a restaurant open anyway. I mean, we just, in Deming and Las Cruces, we just lost the Mimbres Valley Brewing Company. This was a microbrewery in Deming, and they operated a pub restaurant in Deming, but also they operated a bar on on University in Las Cruces, right near the campus. And unfortunately, they're shutting their doors, and part of it is that I don't know how it is as far as selling beer, brewing and selling beer, but I know the restaurant business it's just crazy difficult to stay open and be profitable.
And it's, here, if you want to have a success, people tend to open a Mexican restaurant or a steakhouse.
Yeah.
And we've got a plethora of those kinds of places. And I always love it when somebody opens up something a little bit different. I went to the Mimbres place on University once for lunch. They don't serve food there, but they allow you to bring food in. I got pizza next door at Zaffiro's, slice of pizza, took it in there, ordered the microbrew, which I thought was kind of overpriced based on everybody else's prices in town. Now, I understand they do have a happy hour later where the prices are a little bit lower, but maybe that's why they're going out of business. People were just not coming in. So, but I wish them well, and I wish we had more microbrews in town. Now we're back to one.
The High Desert?
A High Desert Brewery, who does serve food. I was in there just the other day.
Right.
Now, also today, Saturday, until 3 o'clock, there's an event going on at the Veterans Park. It's a welcome home to Vietnam veterans, and so all Vietnam veterans are encouraged to show up, as well as anybody else who wants to come and pay tribute to our veterans and our service people. That's until 3 o'clock at Veterans Park, which is out on Roadrunner Parkway. It's a nice park there. They have a wall of remembrance of local servicemen from World War I through the Middle Eastern Wars.
And there's a Zen priest in Las Cruces named Deho Hilbert, who is a wounded Vietnam veteran, and he has led mindfulness meditation there as a way of bearing witness and remembrance for the warriors who came home and the warriors who did not come home in that park.
So that's going on today until 3 p.m. Now also today, we have pet adoptions, and that's another one of the things that this show is a champion of. Getting dogs and cats adopted out of the animal shelter. No need to go to a pet store and buy them. They're already waiting for you to be adopted. Yes.
And I can't because my hands don't
They've been owned by people who had to give them up, or just for whatever reason had to give their animal up. So these are dogs and cats that have been with people. They want people. They want you to adopt them. And you can get them today. There's 3 places around town this weekend. Today at O'Reilly's Auto Parts at 2401 North Main Street from 8 until 1 o'clock this afternoon. They'll have dogs and cats up there. Also at Petco at 3050 East Lowman. Go inside there and they've got plenty of dogs and cats up for adoption. I was looking at them myself the other day.
Are you thinking about getting a cat?
We got a cat at the animal shelter and it's the best thing we ever did. Oh. It's a wonderful thing. Also down at the Farmers and Crafts Market, downtown on Main Street, there are dogs and cats available there. And tomorrow, Sunday from 10 to 2, there'll be dogs and cats for adoption at Tractor Supply Store, which is on the corner of Picacho and Valley Drive. And the only thing left to talk about really is I saw in the paper the other day that a Las Cruces Police Department veteran officer was driving home from work, not from work, but from El Patio Bar, drunk.
Oh.
Crashed his car, he knocked over a sign on the side of the road, and instead of waiting there for authorities to arrive, he left so he wouldn't be charged with a DWI, which makes him guilty of leaving the scene of an accident, though. They asked him that they gave him the opportunity to resign before they fired him. So he resigned, which means he'll be eligible to go to work for the Joniana Sheriff's Office now.
Yay!
They take all the has-beens from the police department. And then once you wash out from the sheriff's office, you can always go to the Mesilla Marshal's office. They'll take anybody over there, as we've come to find out. So that's about all the time we have on the show. Well, we got a little bit more time, but wish you luck tonight on your performance.
Oh, thank you very much.
Down in El Paso.
It's wonderful, and we're bringing it to Albuquerque in August, and this summer we're going to San Francisco and Asheville, North Carolina.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me on the show today, and thank you for watching Double Talk.